Laz Diaz will handle the plate. Crew chief is at second, Mike Riley. Not a late arriving crowd today for the 12:05 start as Andrew McCutchen swings at the first pitch, and Milton Bradley makes the catch out and right. The place is almost nearly packed as we get going. As we get started, we want to welcome all the servicewomen and servicemen watching all around the world on the Armed Forces Network. Special hello to the service people watching in Vicenza, Italy, where our producer Bob Albrecht got his start back in 19.
Right around there, yeah.
The 1-0 pitch to Lasting's Millage is too low. 2 balls, no strikes. Three and 0. Well, Gorzolani has pitched at Wrigley Field before, but not as a member of the home team. And he walks Millage with 1 out. This is why he had to leave in the second inning on Monday in his last start.
Took a comebacker off the foot and ricocheted to the third base side. Then he stumbled to compound matters as he lost the grip on the baseball. That right foot is still a little bit sore, but not bad enough to keep him from making a start today.
A 4-pitch walk to Millage. It brings up Garrett Jones, who played first yesterday. He's in right field today. And Gorzolani will check on Millage.
Five stolen base attempts on the season for Lasting's Millage. He's been thrown out 3 times.
Fastball's in there, 0-1.
I think the description for Lasting's Millage over there at first base would fit a lot of these young Pirates. A lot of tools, lack of experience, and ideally the Pirates are hoping that all of them continue to move forward in their progress, ultimately becoming good big leaguers, but that remains to be seen.
Breaking ball is low and outside. Gorzolani making 6 appearances and 5 starts as a Pirate here. 2-4 with a 6.32 ERA. But again, wearing that road jersey. First time he pitched here, he got about 40 tickets. This time, just his immediate family, and the rest of his family and friends, they were on their own to get seats. Late swing, 1-2. It's not a huge deal, but there are times during a season you go back to your hometown, you have a day like this for Tom Gorzolani, well, that can be a huge distraction. Your cell phone's blowing up, people wanting tickets, and a lot of times you recruit a friend or a family member and say, everybody just call this person.
It can be a distraction, and obviously Tom Gorzolani doesn't need any more distractions today. He's got a lot on his plate facing his former team. First Wrigley Field start, big crowd here today. Cubs coming off a big victory yesterday, and he wants to keep the train moving.
Another 1-2, that one way outside.
Talking about tickets for friends and family for a ball game, as you said, especially when you go to your hometown. I received some very good advice from one of my coaches with the Giants, Bob Lillis, one time, and I will paraphrase.
Yes, please. I've heard this.
Yeah. If your family asks for tickets, you say no. And if friends and others ask for tickets, you say heck no.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and that has changed too in the last couple of years. It used to be the players got complimentary tickets that you could dole out to friends and family, and the last couple of years it is taxed as income when you give those complimentary tickets to friends and family. So that has changed considerably.
Swing and a miss for the second out.
Well, that's a key pitch for Tom Gorzelani against any opponent. His ability to throw that fastball down at the bottom of the strike zone, get swinging strikes, get ground balls. He doesn't really have enough fastball to challenge hitters up around the belt, so it's very important that he keep the ball down.
A switch hitting Ryan Domit, the catcher. He bounces to Jake Fox, who backs up and backhands and gets Domit a step and a half. So a one-out walk does not hurt Tom Gorzelani, and the Cubs will go after left-hander Zach Duke when we return. At Wrigley Field, now the Cubs Southwest starting lineup. In the Ivy, Terrio, Bradley, Lee, Fox in again for Ramirez. Baker's been red hot. Soriano in left. Soto in there for his first start of the series. Sam Fuld gets the nod in center, and Tom Gorzelani hits ninth.
Quick look at the Pirates defensively. Millage, McCutchen, and Jones across the outfield today. Vasquez and Cedeno on the left side of the infield. Cruz and Pierce on the right side. Ryan Domit behind the plate, or left-hander Zach Duke. Duke looking to even his record at 10-10 this season.
First-time All-Star. Replaced the injured Matt Cain and became the first Pirates starter to make the All-Star team since Denny Nagel in 1995. Two 2-0 to Terrio.
Duke has actually pitched pretty good lately. His last three starts, he's got a loss and 2 no decisions. But in those 2 no decisions, one was a 7-inning shutout against the San Francisco Giants. His team didn't score for him.
Cedeno throws out his former teammate Terrio, 1 out.
And the other start that resulted in a no decision against the St. Louis Cardinals, he went 7 1/3, gave up only 2 earned runs in that ballgame. So he hasn't pitched poorly. His team just doesn't score a lot of runs for him.
His ERA those last 3 starts, 3.26, which is actually a little better than his season mark of 3.40, which is very good.
Pirates have scored 9 runs when Zach Duke has been on the mound in his 10 losses.
Ooh. With a quick math, that's a little less than 1 per start.
And I like this approach early by the Cubs hitters. We look at the splits, a lot of the statistics of past starts for Zach Duke. When opposing batters put the first pitch in play, the batting average is .239. Now, after a 1-0 count, it's .441, which you would expect the count swings in the hitter's favor. But after an 0-1 count, when he throws strike one, the batting average is .369. I think the moral of the story would be take that first pitch regardless of where it is and then go to work.
That's what Bradley did. It's 1-2 on Milton, who actually came out of Thursday's game with tightness in his hip. Did not play yesterday, but he's back in there today. He was taken out in the 9th inning. Sam Folk played right in the final inning against the Phillies. Ground ball, Cedeno backhands the jump toss, save. Pierce didn't hang on to it, but Milton beat it out anyway for a hit. Good effort by Ronnie out on the outfield grass.
We've seen Ronnie Cedeno make that play in the past. Milton Bradley busting it out of that batter's box. He knows he's got a chance for an infield hit here. Cedeno does everything he can do, but Bradley beats the throw to first base.
Speed shutter cam giving us a good look at Bradley beating that throw. Now Derek Lee tied his career high with 7 RBIs, which he also accomplished on July 2nd against Milwaukee. Bob mentioned this in the open. It's worth repeating. The second Cub to have 2 games with at least 7 RBIs. Rogers Hornsby did it. He was the Cubs player manager in 1931. Thanks to Elias for uncovering that fact. And Cedeno won't get this one. That's a base hit. 2 on with only 1 out.
The other stat I mentioned in the open, Derek Lee has now reached base in 88 out of 102 ball games. There have only been back-to-back games when he did not reach base 1 time all season. But that's the kind of consistent production you love to see from your middle of the lineup guys.
Jake Fox getting his 7th consecutive start. Ramirez just not ready to get back in there. And while he did have a bad cold yesterday, I think when you hear that, you wonder, well, why couldn't he go? I guess he had a terribly sore throat, really was struggling. Not hit hard. They'll still try to turn to the tag and the toss. Safe. Derek Lee never got tagged. John Russell coming out. Luis Cruz thought he got him. So the inning is still alive. Fox thrown out, and the Cubs have 2 in scoring position with 2 down. That'll go 4-3. That's it.
And that's the crew chief, Mike Riley, out there at second base. I'm kind of surprised he didn't call Derek out for leaving the baseline, but in his estimation, woo.
Now, how did he see that?
I don't think he did see that, and certainly it looked like Derek was on the infield grass. I mean, you're allowed 3 feet on either side of a straight line between first and second, and when you go outside that total of 6 feet to avoid a tag, most of the time you'll be called out for leaving the baseline.
Well, the Cubs will gladly take the break. I still don't know if he tagged him, but we had a much better look than Mike Riley would have had. So let's see if Jeff Baker can make it hurt. And he's the guy you want at the plate. Hitting .500 during a 6-game hitting streak. He's 8 for 15 on the homestand. This is his 7th straight start at second. So a lot of Baker and Fox in that lineup lately.
One more look from a different angle this time on the attempted tag of Derek Lee. It's hard to tell, but looked like there might have been the slightest bit of contact there between the glove and Derek Lee's jersey.
Jeff Baker with a base hit. Bradley scores. Lee's going to be sent. The throw by McCutchen is going to be in time. Well, it looked like Steve Pearce tried to cut off that throw and didn't get it. We'll get a look at it when we come back. They do get one as Bradley scores, but Andrew McCutchen with 7 assists from the outfield. Nice throw, 1-0 Cubs.
Base. Mike Quaddy waving Derek Lee on home to the plate. The throw by McCutchen on time. Derek Lee tries to go to the inside of home plate to get a foot on the plate before the tag by Ryan Domit, but you see everybody signaling Derek Lee to get down, get down. Unfortunately, just doesn't have enough room to get on the plate, and you hope Derek Lee's okay. Some awkward slides. Look, you just try to get yourself into a position to get in there and get on the plate, and a lot of times you're not in a perfect position. We know Derek Lee's had some issues with that bulging disc in the neck when he slides awkwardly.
Ball one on Steve Pearce, who did appear to be attempting to cut off that throw, but he really didn't have a shot at it. 2-0.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he was trying to cut it off, so for the Pirates it's a good thing he didn't. But sometimes a first baseman will also decoy like they're going to cut the ball off to try to hold the batter runner at first base.
First strike of the inning, 2-1. Orsolani threw 13 pitches in the first inning, but 11 came against one guy. It was Garrett Jones who struck out. He got a couple of first pitch outs. Actually, with a 7-pitch at bat, he also walked Millage. And he's 3-1 on Pearce. And that'll be a base hit. Drops in front of Sam Fuld. So Pearce is aboard. Tomorrow the Cubs host the Pirates here at Wrigley Field. Game time 1:20, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans will receive a Cubs piggy bank. Compliments of Bank of America.
Ernie Banks Bank.
Cedeno bunts it foul. Orsolani sent to the Cubs in a deal that involved John Graybo, Kevin Hart, Jose Escanio also involved in that deal, going the other way. And Escanio has been placed on the DL by the Pirates. He has right shoulder tendonitis. Also, outfielder Jeff Salazar, who played center late yesterday, was designated for assignment. They have selected right-hander Denny Bautista from AAA Indianapolis and recalled utility man Brian Bixler. We'll see if Cedeno still tries to bunt now that he's down 1-2.
You know, we assumed, Len, a lot of teams would try to bunt on Jake Fox down there at third base just to test him and see what his capabilities were. The ironic thing is Cedeno on the first attempt was bunting to the first base side, and then a half-hearted effort to bunt one to third.
He never seemed to be committed to a sacrifice bunt. Like he was trying to not only move the runner up, but get to first base himself. Now it's 1-2. So changing of the guard at shortstop. They've been Jack Wilson pretty much this entire decade. He got traded to Seattle. Cedeno coming over. And getting a chance, at least for now. Struck him out. Time now for the Radio Shack. What do you know? Kosuke Fukudome, available off the bench today. Meticulous about his bats. He keeps a portable scale in the clubhouse in his locker to ensure that all of his bats are precisely 920 grams, which equals about 32.5 ounces. That's pretty meticulous.
Yeah, the average fan at home might be saying, "Oh, what's the difference? You know, 32.45 ounces, 32.5 ounces." But when you swing a bat every day as part of your living, you can feel the difference. You can tell. You can tell if the handle's maybe a little thicker than you like it, or a little thinner than you like it, or the barrel is too tapered on one bat. You know, ideally they all come off the lathe exactly the same, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Eric Lee in foul territory to get Ramon Vasquez. 2 outs. Little game guys like to play. Coach interpreter Hiro Aoyama helping out Kosuke with the sunflower seeds and the strategically placed Gatorade cups.
Apparently the scorekeeper today too for the sunflower seed in the cup game.
We've got to get a shot of Hiro one of these days walking on his hands. We were on the road somewhere on this last trip. I think it was Florida. And he walked from the bullpen for looked like 20-30 yards on his hands. Acrobatic move.
Very impressive.
Topper right in front of the plate, and Soto will throw out Luis Cruz. So a base runner each inning, but no damage done. As Gorzolani heads back to the dugout, leading 1-0. foul ball right at the same time. That's dangerous, but rare.
It is very rare, but boy, the timing of that couldn't have been worse for Caridad.
Alfonso Soriano's next big league hit will be the 1,500th of his career. He's 11 homers away from 300. And he has owned this matchup against Zach Duke. 15 out of 33 with 4 doubles and 2 homers. The dugout effects microphone being tampered with.
Give those everyday players that are used to playing every day a little free time on the bench. They have to find things to do to entertain themselves.
Will wind the pitch, fouled back. Just like yesterday, this is the only game going on in the majors. Everything else will be either later this afternoon or tonight. Cubs could not make up any ground in the division as the Cardinals beat up on the Padres. Adam Wainwright not only hit a home run, but grabbed his National League leading 14th win. Save a little room. They have the alternate spelling on night. N-I-T-E. And actually, it's a small quirk. And it was created, I guess, when Milwaukee moved over to the NL and you had expansion in '98. On a day like this, you can't put all the games up on the board. You wouldn't want to ever change that scoreboard. You can only put 6 games up in each league, but in the National League, you've got those extra teams. But I counted up, it looks like only 6 games per, so I suppose in the '93 expansion would have been the year where it caused some problems. Long it back for Soriano. Out in the left center, and it's going to be caught. Millage on the move, making the catch.
It looks like the Cincinnati-Washington matchup is the National League game that got bumped off the scoreboard today.
Yeah, you just have to kind of pick your spots. The Pirates really like to bunch the gaps. They believe more doubles are in left and right center as opposed to down the lines. The Cubs were able to exploit that yesterday with a bunch of balls hit right down the left field line as Soto slices it out of play. Just to follow up on the scoreboard, I like that they never changed it. It's a classic board, maybe the most famous in all of baseball, and they just left it the way it is. And you know what? Most people brought their internet-connected cell phones anyway if they want to find out the Nationals Reds. It was misplayed by Jones, and Soto's going to end up with a double. That ball had a lot more juice on it than Jones thought.
We saw the Pirates get burned in the left field corner a couple times because of the bunching of the outfielders in the gaps, and this time Giovanni Soto beats them to the right field corner. Jones misplayed that ball badly, took a real shallow line to the ball. It just shot over his head all the way out to the vines. As far as that bunching the outfielders, Len, I think it would be a more valid defensive alignment if you had slow corner outfielders and you wanted to cover those gaps. But the Pirates on a given day can run some pretty speedy outfielders out there, especially on the corner. So why wouldn't you just play straight up and let them rely on their natural talents and abilities to run the ball down in the gap if you have to? And another thing we mentioned yesterday, it's a completely different story if you have pitchers on the mound that consistently hit their spots and try to force batters to hit into the strength of your defense. But when you have a pitching staff that doesn't always hit their spots, it really exposes down the right and left field line.
Duke with an 0-1 to Fold, who's actually been playing mostly against left-handed starters here lately with Reed Johnson on the disabled list. Late insertion into the lineup yesterday in a big day. 3 runs, first career triple. 2 for 3, 2 walks, and was hit by a pitch. Zach Duke is from Clifton, Texas. 20th round pick in 2001. What's he selling today?
Mr. Fans.
This is a day to sell him. Ground ball to the first baseman, Pierce.
Hey fans, don't miss the action as the Cubs battle the Nationals on Tuesday, August 25th. Game time is 7:05, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans will receive a Cubs keychain, compliments of Ferrara Paint.
Keeping score and has the mitt. I like it.
Multitasking.
Up the middle and through. Tom Gorzolani knocks in a run. Pitchers have come through this weekend. Randy Wells 2 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, a double, and 2 runs yesterday. And Gorzolani 1 for 1 today.
Got a fastball in the inside part of the plate. He hit that ball like he was looking for it. We mentioned these two guys are very familiar with each other as teammates. Have probably talked a lot about pitching and what to do against the opposing pitcher. And
Duke probably said throw it right down the middle.
Yeah. Gorzolani ambushed him.
Curveball in there. Well, Duke's going to lead off the third. Let's see what the first pitch is from Gorzolani. Terrio hustling, going to be a tough play for Vasquez. He'll just eat it. And it's an infield hit, giving Terrio a 9-game hitting streak.
It serves the purpose of a swinging butt right there. Just pounded that ball down into the dirt in front of home plate. It got up the third baseline and died. And really no chance whatsoever for Vasquez to make a play at first.
Good hot stretch for Terrio, up in the low 300s at the moment. And 303 on the year. Solid start to the second half for Bradley. He hit just 243 before the break. He's at 316 in the second half. 1-1.
Certainly those numbers are encouraging, but even more encouraging is the fact he's starting to get it together from the left side of the plate. Making more solid contact, not as susceptible to those pitches inside off the plate.
High fly, pretty well hit. And it's Jones right in the middle of the warning track to end the inning. But Tom Gorzolani knocked in a run with 2 outs, and the Cubs lead 2-0 after 2. Sports Night coming up tonight at 6:30. A complete recap of today's Cubs and Sox games, plus highlights of Tiger Woods at the PGA Championship. And Chuck Garfien for Sports Night tonight at 6:30, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. She's camera ready. First Cubs game today.
What took you so long? We're glad you're here. We're glad you're all here today. Beautiful place to be on a hazy Saturday afternoon.
Well, he's had a shot during the break, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. The president of the Len and Bob fan club. We saw a few good candidates there, but the actual president is here today. Someone said to us during the break, "Len, the president's here." I said, "Really?" "Yeah." Of the Len and Bob fan club. Got good seats. Second row right behind the dish.
I'm sure he ran unopposed for that office.
One and two on Zach Duke. I got so caught up in the sign I forgot to watch that first pitch. At any rate, Gorzolani's ahead in the count against his, I'm sure, good friend, former teammate. Good rip by Duke. And the count holds.
Yeah, it stands to reason that these two guys would have exchanged a lot of notes because they're very similar in style. A little tailing fastball, a slider, an occasional straight changeup. They both like to work very quickly. They're both effective when they keep the ball down and get lots of grounders. They build about the same.
The kick, the 2-2. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Number 3 for Tom. Time for the Cabot Woodstains legendary performance on this date in 2006. The Cubs and Astros went 18 innings before the Cubs, who used every player on the roster, came up with an 8-6 win. 18 pitchers combined. That tied an NL record. They used 46 players out of 50 available. Roger Clemens pitched in relief. I believe Rich Hill got the win, and it was Ryan O'Malley who had to make the emergency start the next day. He left the ballpark in tears. Such an emotional day, and we were working on about an hour and a half of sleep. It was pretty memorable. Tough year, but a great moment. Ryan O'Malley got the call about 7 hours before that debut. He was in Round Rock, Texas at the time. I seem to recall that two big factors in why O'Malley made the start was he could get there in time, and it was either his day to pitch or the next day to pitch, and that's a big deal. McCutchen strikes out. It's altogether possible that in situations like that, the team would say, well, our first choice would be this guy, but he pitched last night. And sometimes it's just all about timing.
You're absolutely right. And to add to that special day for Ryan O'Malley, remember his parents couldn't get a flight to get to Houston in time for the ball game, and somebody in his hometown that had access to a private plane said, don't worry about it, we will get you there in time for the game. Just a tremendously touching story.
8 shutout innings and got the win. Good guy, Ryan O'Malley. Saw him at the ballpark here last year. I'm not sure where he is these days in terms of where he's pitching, but I could see him get another opportunity. Well, Borzolani has struck out 2 in the inning already. He's 0-2 on Lasting's millage. Foul tip, strike 3. Strikes out this side. 5 Ks in the first 3 innings for the former Pirate. Cubs back to work on offense, leading 2-zip. '26th and 27th, and games throughout September. Bleacher seats are still available as well. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Call 1-800-THE-CUBS or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Lee, Fox, and Baker against Zach Duke, who's allowed 1 run in each of the first 2 innings. 0-2 to Lee, who did not like that call by Laz Diaz. Ground ball to Cedeno. He bobbled it, dropped it, and Lee is safe. On an error by Cedeno. He was charged with one yesterday, but it was quickly reversed to a hit. This one's an error.
talk about a middle infielder, you talk a lot about soft hands, the ability to take a bad hop and cushion it back into the glove, maybe against your upper body, and still make the play. The ball looked like it hit Ronnie in the heel of the glove, and it became an adventure after that.
So Duke out of that out of the stretch yet again, and Fox takes a curveball low. I looked it up. Ryan O'Malley does not have any minor league stats this year. He did make 20 appearances and 6 starts for the White Sox at Double-A last year. So I don't know if that means Ryan is injured or done with the Springfield native. Hopefully he'll get another opportunity.
Possibly could be pitching an independent ball somewhere too. Never know. It's become a more and more popular route for a lot of guys, not only players who are trying to hang on and continue their careers, but for a lot of guys who are drafted and don't sign immediately. Go to those independent leagues, get some at bats, get some innings pitched, stay in shape, and re-enter the draft again the next year.
Well, we have a pretty vast television audience, and since again he's from Springfield, I bet there's somebody out there going, I wish I could contact Len and Bob and let them know where Ryan is these days. Len and Bob at ComcastSportsnet.com.
This is your lucky day.
3-0 on Jake Fox. Baker with an RBI single. He's on deck, batting 5th, keeps moving up the lineup.
All right, if you're sitting down at field level, hold on to your hats. If Jake Fox gets something to his liking on this 3-1 pitch, you are going to see one vicious swing.
There's that swing. It's down the right field line and lands about 1.5 feet foul. Technically, we have a crosswind out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour today.
If anything, it may help some balls hit the left field. Will probably knock down balls hit the right field, but not blowing that hard at this time.
Two is popped up. And Cedeno will take it with Cruz heading to second base. Time now for the Jaguar high performance of the week. Jeff Baker has just stayed in that lineup because of those numbers. Been an excellent homestand for Jeff. Baker. Carlos Zambrano on the bench. I talked to him today. He's got a lot of treatment that he's doing, and also did throw a side session yesterday. Got on the mound and hopes to have a more rigorous one tomorrow. Could possibly be back toward the end of this next road trip, but he won't spend the entire game on that bench. Not really great for his back.
That's where everybody wants to have a seat for a ball game, but it's not the most comfortable place to sit in the world, especially for a guy who's battling low back problems.
Well, he was telling me about his daily routine right now, and I said, sounds like you're working harder while not playing. He said, yeah. I mean, people would be, I think, surprised to learn just how hard you have to work when you're on the DL with an injury that allows you, to rehab it. I mean, certain injuries make you sit around doing nothing for a long time, which is extremely frustrating for a a well-tuned athlete.
Now, the DL is no place to be for a lot of different reasons. Number one, first and foremost, you want to be out there competing with your teammates. You want to do something to help your team win a ball game. And in the second place, like you said, it's a lot of hard work. Trying to rehab an injury in that training room, in the weight room, getting your work in on the field if you can, then back into the training room, back into the weight room.
Baker chased, and he's out automatically with that runner at first and less than 2 outs. That's the first strikeout for Zach Duke.
They want a changeup down low and away. That has been a real good pitch for Zach Duke in the past. Cut the fastball in on the hands of a right-handed hitter and then throw that changeup off the plate low and away.
Outside corner for a strike. Based on those numbers you brought up earlier, I think Zach Duke realizes he can't give up too many. It's when he has not won, his team has not given him a lot, and he's already given up 2 on the other side. Inside on a fastball at 89.
That's the cutter inside that he usually couples with the changeup down low and away. See if he sticks to that same pattern here.
Cruz goes out calling for it. That ends the inning. An error to start the inning, but Derek Lee never did get to second base. 2-0 Cubs after 3. Time for the Aflac trivia question. Who was the last Cubs hitter to have 7 RBIs in a game without hitting a home run? Derek Lee did it yesterday. I think the other 7 RBI game this year was the result of a grand slam and a 3-run homer. I'll give you a hint. He's also managed in the majors. 2-0 Cubs.
Oh, I think I know. Have a guess anyway. Did he grow up not far from here?
Well, actually, I got it wrong.
Oh.
The guy I'm thinking of was a former Cub, but didn't do it with the Cubs. Joe Girardi did it, but he was a Yankee at the time, so that is not the correct answer. Trying to throw you off, but not that far. Sorry.
You don't need to throw me off.
2 strikes to Garrett Jones. Foul tip, strike 3. 4 straight punch outs for Gorzolani.
A little sneaky quick with his fastball that time on the inside part of the plate. He's done a nice job of keeping the ball out of the middle so far today. Either hitting the outside corner, hitting the inside corner, keeping it down below the knees, just trying to stay out of that middle zone where you can get hurt.
When a guy like Gorzolani faces his former team after getting traded, and we say, you know, he really wants to beat his former team, I think the better way to say it, it's not like he has anything against the guys in the clubhouse, on the coaching staff. I don't think there's anything personal with the general manager, Neil Huntington, but I think it's more about showing the GM, hey, you shouldn't have gotten rid of me. Now, Gorzolani was not starting with the big league team. He was actually at AAA when he got traded, and when he was with the Pirates earlier this year, he only pitched in relief. There's a big-time pride factor with every pro athlete, and I think these games become a lot more important than anybody ever lets on. Some guys do let on. Oh yeah, I want to beat them bad. And the other part of it, not only is he making his home debut, but his last start was not good. And he did get hurt, but he was not throwing the ball well. He gave up 6 runs in an inning and a third.
Including a couple of long balls. Yeah, his command was not nearly what it is today in that start against the Rockies.
They have 2 hits. Both are singles and both off the bat of Steve Pearce. He's 2 for 2.
Right off the end of the bat, just did get enough to drive it through that left side of the infield into left for a base hit.
As our president. Fouled off by Cedeno. 0-2. 2 down, runner on. Tying run at the plate in the 4th.
President and the First Lady have some nice seats down there, Larry.
Yeah.
Let's have some pull.
It's like Soto wants it up, and it was up and in. 1-2. Runner goes, got a good jump. Cedeno bounces to third. It's foul.
Two outs, 2 strikes on the hitter. That's a straight steal attempt on the part of Pearce over there at first base. Cedeno, as the hitter with 2 strikes, he's got to do whatever he can to protect the plate. You don't have the luxury of taking a borderline pitch to allow your teammate to steal second base, because Pearce had a huge jump that time.
running this time, and another foul. How about another former Cub? Felix P.A. hit for the cycle for the Orioles last night. 16-6 win over the Angels. Fourth player in Orioles history to do it, and it's the 7th cycle this year. We witnessed one the other night in Colorado. Troy Tulowitzki. Big leg kick. This battle continues.
Never hit for the cycle, Lynn, but I used to ride my motorcycle to the ballpark once in a while.
That counts for something. Never hit for the cycle, but you rode the cycle. I don't know if they still do it in Milwaukee. Didn't they used to give out a Harley? A hit for the cycle.
Very nice. I know the Cubs have a few players that ride their bicycles to the ballpark on a nearly daily basis.
The next 2-2 pitch. Cedeno starting to time Gorzolani.
How great a thing is that for a major league ball player with all the great neighborhoods surrounding Wrigley Park to be able to get up in the morning and hang out with the kids for a little while and then jump on your bicycle and ride to work. That's awesome.
And my guess is the players are not. I think they got him. Safe. Gorzolani was already headed toward the dugout on a snap throw.
Gorzolani and Derek Lee both headed for the dugout there. Maybe Derek Lee just trying to influence Eric Cooper over at first base, but very close.
My guess is most players probably don't get recognized when they're on their bicycles riding in, because I don't think most fans would even take a second look.
Oh, and there are some cars down in that players lot that would definitely get you a second and third and fourth look. Way too many pitches to Ronnie Cedeno here in the 2-strike count. He's just as likely to chase a pitch in the dirt here as he will to foul off a strike.
7 foul balls already. And a fly ball to deep left. It's hooking, foul. This is what you worry about with a long at bat like this one. 11 pitches already.
Throw it in the dirt. He'll swing at that too. Maybe not.
And a delayed steal. And Giovanni Soto didn't see it until it was too late. Well, that's a lost art for him right there.
It really is. And it's not that hard to do. It's a fairly simple play. You take a couple of big shuffle steps off of first base and then break after the ball gets into the hitting zone. You're counting on either the catcher or both middle infielders just dropping their head after the pitch goes by home plate and then steal the bag.
Finally got him on the strikeout. 7 for Gorzolani through 4. They lead 1. It's 2-0 Cubs. Nobody. He's the first Cub to do it.
What we got? A trick question.
Boyd McClendon?
Yeah.
That's not a bad guess. Well, it's happened, but not a whole lot. Only 5 times since 1980, including Derek yesterday. Soto floats one out into short left, base hit. You know who would have been very interested maybe a few years ago in that Ronnie Cedeno at bat? Sam Fuld, who steps in.
Why is that?
There's a great article on ESPN, the magazine. You can find it online. It's about Sam and how much he was into baseball stats when he was a youngster. And at one point, he realized there were no stats on foul balls, so he started tracking them just for fun. He's a Stanford guy, great at math, and I guess when he was 5 or 6, he was already computing ERA and batting average. He's a very, very intelligent guy. But I also like what he mentioned, and I asked him about it today, about having a firm understanding of what all these obscure stats means does not help you as a ball player. He admits that. Your instinct has to take over.
There's no question we have more stats than we need in this game, and some of them are very important to a player. You know, we talked about the numbers against Zach Duke when opposing batters swing at the first pitch as opposed to waiting until a 1-0 or an 0-1 count, and certainly those are things you like to know going into a ball game.
Pierce gets one, but no relay throw by Cedeno.
What percentage of time does a pitcher throw a first pitch strike with a breaking ball? Is that something I should be aware of going into a ball game? But you know, a lot of the stats are just for our own enjoyment.
Now, it was an unfair question, and I really wasn't looking for an answer. But I said to Sam, I said, but it would be like, would you rather win a batting title or the on-base percentage title? And he laughed. And I think for a guy like him, that might be a tough one to answer. I mean, most guys would say, oh, I want to win a batting title. But for a guy like Sam Fuld, what is more important? For the type of player he is, I think he'd help his team more if he won the on-base title. But nobody talks that much about that. Everybody knows the batting champion every year. They don't put out an Associated Press release. Sam Fuld, the winner of the on-base title in the National League. Orsolani pops up the bunt. Diving catch. What a play by Steve Pearce in foul ground. That was a great play by Steve Pearce.
Boy, it really was, because that bunt was dying quickly up that first baseline. Orsolani got it out near the end of the bat, popped it up in the air. Nicely done, young man. Just did get that big first baseman's mitt underneath the baseball, right on the chalk line.
Pearce is, I'd say, maybe more athletic than most full-time first basemen. He can play the outfield, the corner spots. And you sometimes have to lay out like that. Other thing in the article, it's pointed out, and we've mentioned this before, but probably should mention it more often about Sam Fuld. He is a type 1 diabetic. He has to give himself a couple of insulin shots every day. So he has to go through a lot of stuff Ron Santo went through during his Hall of Fame caliber career, but he's hiding behind his Cubs statue. It's not made out of chocolate. If it were, it would have melted. Swing and a miss. 0-1 Ontario.
Well, for the sake of that statue, I hope the Cubs continue to win here at home at Wrigley Field, because I'd sure hate for the people down below that radio booth to let that poor bear land on their head one day. Sorry, Len. Sam looks like he'd like to steal a base over there at first. He's really been working hard to get an extra half step, then an extra full step on his leadoff over there, trying to get a real good read on Zach Duke to see if he can get a jump and steal that bag. Becomes a little more dangerous in the 0-2 count because the Pirates would have the option of pitching out.
Fans don't like it, but Zach Duke realizes the importance of every run today, trailing 2-0. Line right at the third baseman Vasquez. That ends the inning. Hit hard by Terrio, but 4 and out. On to the 5th. Cubs 2, Pirates nothing.
Luke Stuckmeyer here. Don't forget to check out my Cubs blog, Bricks and Ivy, at csnchicago.com, brought to you by Toshiba.
Cubs Destinations, a preferred baseball road trip provider of the team, provides fans with the most unique VIP road trip experience available. Each package includes great tickets, first-class hotel accommodations, a tour of the ballpark, and a private meet and greet with a current Cubs player. For more information, visit Cubs.com. 5th inning, Ramon Vasquez, left-handed batter, but in the lineup against a lefty because he's done well against southpaws this year. .333 coming in. Just 195 in his career against lefties into this season. 2-0. Wind the pitch, a strike inside third. Your peanuts. is the place to do it. 3-1. Ball 4, and then the tying run will come up. He is proud of that sign.
You can tell he put a lot of hard work into it. Red Sharpie and a piece of white cardboard.
Well, we paid him $20 to sit there, and didn't have the heart to tell him after 4 innings he was able to take the sign down. But it's Tim Kessler from Logansport, Indiana, president of the fan club. 1-0 on Cruz, so Soto picks this opportunity to head out to the mound. Now, you think he did the sign before he started consuming that beverage?
It looks like it, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty neatly lettered, yeah. Everything looks to be spelled correctly. There's Len and Bob, that's easy. If we ask him to spell Casper and Brenly, it might be a whole different story. You get a lot of Casper with a C, and I get a lot of Brenly with 2 E's.
We often see Bremley, B-R-E-M as in Mary, L-Y.
Well, if the past 8 games are any indication, Tom Gorzolani is done walking batters for today. Cubs starters have surrendered 2 or fewer walks in the last 8 straight ball games, and that last walk there to Vasquez was the second in the game for Tom Gorzolani.
2-0 to Cruz, getting just his second start of the year. First at second base. Called up on July 10th. Can't be a much worse feeling for a pitcher who can't throw strikes, knows he needs to throw strikes, has a visit from the catcher, sometimes a pitching coach. You're at the bottom of the order, and there's no time to take practice pitches. Cruz turned away, tried to sell it, but it was called a strike. You know they're trying. But Charlie Morton yesterday, when he did throw strikes, he got hammered. It just did not have command of anything, and the Cubs made him pay. 3-1. That's ball 4. So Cruz waited him out, and now Larry Rothschild will come out. Zach Duke will probably try to lay down a bunt. Tied for 3rd in the majors with 11 sack hits, so he's really good at it. Is this a spot, Bob, if you're John Russell, do you ask your pitcher to take 1 just to make Gorzolani throw a strike?
I don't think so, Len. Not in an obvious sacrifice bunt situation. That very first pitch may be the one right down the middle of the plate, and an easy pitch to bunt. If you take that first one and it does happen to be a strike, now you may force Zach Duke to try to bunt a slider off the outside corner or an elevated fastball. So if it's an obvious sack bunt situation, I say bunt the first strike you see.
And Duke, savvy enough, obviously, with the 11 sack bunts, he'll square to bunt, but if the pitch is clearly not a strike, he'll probably take it.
Yeah. And defensively, usually the key to this play, first and second sack bunt situation, is the third baseman. But with a left-handed pitcher, Tom Gorzolani, on the mound, I think he's the key. If he can get off the mound quickly and get to that ball.
It's a good bunt, picked up by Gorzolani, and the throw is a bad one, and that saved a run. Jeff Baker on a throw that tailed on the home plate side of the bag made an excellent play, or the Pirates get a run. As it is, they are loaded with nobody out. Zach Duke with a perfect bunt.
That's where Jake Fox's inexperience at third base. We don't know for sure whether he tried to call Tom Gorzolani off that ball, but he certainly should have. once he comes in that far, it's a much easier play for the third baseman coming in than for the pitcher fading into foul territory to throw that ball into foul territory there. And with a little more experience down there, and I'm sure Jake would tell us right now, that was my ball. I should have called the pitcher off.
Fly ball, center field and deep for McCutchen. Fold right at the edge of the track. Two guys are going to tag. The throw goes to second to keep Duke at first. But Vasquez scores. Cruz is now at third, and it's 2-1. It's a sacrifice fly for Andrew McCutchen, who has 34 RBIs. 63rd game in that leadoff spot. Only Jimmy Rollins with more RBIs from the #1 spot in the National League.
I'm not sure if McCutchen is the kind of hitter that's going to stay in that one spot in the lineup. He may be better suited to hit a little bit lower in more of an RBI spot as his career progresses, but he's able to loft that deep fly ball into center field to put the Pirates on the board.
Key guy now Millage with the tying run at third. Orsolani would love a double play chance to keep Cruz from scoring. Millage wearing number 85. I don't know why he wears 85, but I did want to look at his birth date, and he was born in 1985, so I'm guessing that's why. Born in Bradenton, Florida. And isn't that where the Pirates trained?
Yes, indeed.
For a long time in Bradenton.
McKechnie Field down there in Bradenton.
Pause by Orsolani before the 1-2 pitch and a big strikeout. 2 down in the inning.
Chasing that fastball up above the letters right there in the 2-strike count. That's the proverbial go up the ladder. Get ahead in the count and scoot each successive fastball up a little bit higher until you get to that point where the batter can't reach it.
He has fanned Jones twice. Well, with the bases empty, Garrett Jones has batted .372, but .161 with runners on base. And there are 2 on with 2 down. Rookie of the month from last year. Fly ball deep right. Bradley on a warning track. Has enough room as he was twisting and turning. And that ends the inning. The Pirates do get on the board. 2 walks, an infield hit, and a sac fly. And it's now 2-1 Cubs. Yeah, thanks. Much different feel to game 2 than game 1, which was basically over in the second inning. 2-1, 2 lefties, and for the most part they pitched well.
Well, I think Zach Duke, as opposed to Charlie Morton, the starter in yesterday's ball game, has been the big difference. Zach Duke is a fairly experienced veteran major league pitcher.
It's a nice over-the-shoulder grab by Luis Cruz, running away from home plate to get Milton Bradley.
You know, and talking about Charlie Morton in that game yesterday, Len, I would venture to guess that if you talk to Ryan Dempster and Ted Lilly and Carlos Zambrano and some of the veteran pitchers on the Cubs, did you ever have an outing like that when you were a young pitcher? I guarantee you they've had one or more of those kinds of outings. It's all part of the process, learning how to be successful at the big league level, learning how to get by on those days when you don't have your best stuff. It was a painful, but it was a lesson yesterday for Charlie Morton.
I think every veteran pitcher, probably every Hall of Fame pitcher, would say it's easy to pitch when you have your best stuff, but what separates the men from the boys at this level is to get it done, as you say, to survive, to keep your team around when you've got nothing. I think there are also days where luck does play into it. I don't think yesterday was one of those days, but who knows how the bottom of the second would have turned out if that Coy Hill fly ball down the left field line had been caught instead of ending up being a triple. That's how the inning started. Cubs didn't make it out till they went all the way through their lineup. Duke's 2-2 pitch. Fastball on the outside corner is hit foul.
Some stellar defensive plays in that second deck today.
All right, we've gotten a lot of emails about former Cub left-hander Ryan O'Malley. We think he is an assistant pitching coach to Jeff Andrews, a former Pirates pitching coach who's now Double-A in the Rangers organization. Seems to be the popular theory on where Ryan is today. Still in baseball. Ball 4. He walked him. First walk given up by Duke, coming in the 5th. We also got an email from Lauren Eilers from Elk Grove Village, and she claims she's in charge of the female Len and Bob fan club. She said all 3 of us have your pictures as our computer wallpapers. 3.
All 3 of them. Okay.
You were feeling good at the beginning of that email.
Got to start somewhere.
One strike on Jake Fox. Swing and a miss. Good changeup. Play ball 5-4. 3. They go around the horn. That ends the inning. First double play coached by Zach Duke. Off to the 6th inning. Cubs 2, Pirates 1. Tomorrow, the White Sox road trip wraps up as they battle the Oakland Athletics out west. Coverage starts with Feldco White Sox pregame live, and it's Sox and A's in HD. That's tomorrow at 2:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. First Cubs game, welcome to Wrigley Field. Cubs leading 2-1, 6th inning, and into the bullpen. Right-hander Angel Guzman making his 45th appearance. Tom Gorzolani can get the win if the bullpen can hold it up the next 4 innings. Brian Domet, batting left-handed, takes a strike. He has grounded out twice. A bruised right wrist, missed the last couple of games. Apparently not related to the fracture that put him on the DL earlier this year. Derek Lee with a catch. Nice snag to keep that ball out of right.
That ball hit like a bullet, headed for that right field corner. D. Lee using every bit of that 6'5" frame, long wingspan to reach out there and snag that one right out of midair.
Peter at 96 on the outside edge to Pierce. Who had 2 hits and a stolen base against Gorzolani. He gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 5 innings. Walked 3, struck out 8. One off his career best of 9 strikeouts back in 07 in Arizona. Foul off the bullpen mound. Nice barehanded play. Oh, you're wearing a Derek Lee jersey. That's why he made that play. Right down the middle. 97.
We talked about Angel in the past, and Major League scouts have a word for his fastball: easy gas. Actually, that's words, but a phrase: easy gas. I mean, some guys, they're maximum effort pitchers. They use their legs, they use their torso, they use their upper body and try to generate as much velocity as they can. Angel just kind of flips the ball up there and gets easy gas.
One and one as he went. Ground ball to Terrio. And it's a 1-2-3. 6th inning for Guzman. Cubs 2, Pirates 1. Jeff Baker leading off the bottom of the 6th against Zach Duke. Low and away, ball 1. 2-1 Cubs. I'll send out congratulations to Adam Slahor and Conrad on their engagement. They're celebrating today, rooting on the Cubs here at Wrigley Field. Baker puts a charge into that ball. It's gone! 3-1. Baker's knocked in 2 this afternoon. Normally the scouting reports on the Cubs don't let this guy beat you, but this week that's the case.
Heineken home run replay. Jeff Baker going way back to left center field, deep into the bleachers. Say, Len, it's amazing when a guy gets an opportunity, either with his original ball club or with a new ball club. You come in with a clean slate. You have a chance to establish what kind of player you are and what you bring to your new team. And Jeff Baker has taken full advantage of his opportunities to get some starts at second base.
His second home run. Soriano rips it foul. Lil Risky celebrating her 90th birthday coming up. Lifelong Cubs fan, watches every game from her home in Houston, Texas. She likes watching Carlos Zambrano pitch. And hopefully he'll be back within the next week. Two swing and a miss, struck him out.
Cubs fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve major league service. So go online to StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Chicago Cubs and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. Check out StubHub at Cubs.com, where baseball is always on.
Series for Giovanni Soto. Pinch hit double in the game yesterday, and he's 2 for 2 with a double and a run today. It's a ground ball to the third baseman Vasquez, who's up with it. 2 outs. Zach Duke with a 3.09 career ERA against the Cubs, but just a 4-6 record. They couldn't figure him out early. Won his first 4 decisions against the Cubs, but has lost his last 6.
And if I remember correctly, those first 4 starts against the Cubs that you talk about, he threw much harder than he does now. He had a fastball that was in the low to mid 90s, but velocity is back down a little bit. He relies more on command and changing speeds now than he did earlier in his career.
Full bunts picked up by Duke. Nice play. Sam was halfway to first, it seemed, when he hit that ball. But Duke made the play, and that ends the inning. Baker led off the inning with a home run, and that makes the Cubs lead 3 right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Actor and Chicago area native John Cusack will handle our stretch today. He'll be Casper the Friendly Ghost. Vasquez, Cruz, and probably a pinch hitter for Duke. With the Pirates trailing by 2 against Angel Guzman, strike 1.
Taylor in that 6th inning could not have worked out any better for Lou and Larry Rothschild. Guzman got through the 6th with relatively few pitches, so there was really no discussion whatsoever about sending him back out there for a 2nd inning of work. Had he struggled in that 6th and thrown a lot of pitches, we may have seen a combination of relievers to finish this thing out, but as it stands, Guzman and probably John Graybo and then Kevin Gregg will clean this one up.
9 pitches in the 6th. The 5th pitch to Vasquez on the ground. Fox better hurry, and the throw pulled Lee off the bag. Jake, again, relatively new to the position, took his time setting up and then realized he had to hurry, and that'll be an error on Fox.
Just a little too deliberate after getting that ball into his glove down there at third base. We've talked with Jake getting more playing time at third base, how he likes to backhand in front of the ball, and that kind of slowed down the rhythm of the play.
Yeah, Jake seems to still be in that area in terms of his experience at third, where he's very mechanical and thinking about what should I do, and as you know so well, there's a point where it clicks and it's natural, and it just kind of happens instinctively. And he and Alan Trammell have worked on a myriad of different situations in terms of tag plays, as you mentioned, when to backhand, when not to, when to come in on a ball, when to back up on a ball, positioning. 0-1 to Cruz, fouled back. The one thing Tram says, number one, he works hard, but he's very attentive out there in terms of where the Cubs want to play him. They're trying to mold him into a solid defender at the hot corner. Aaron Waters show continuing this afternoon. Swing and a miss for the first out.
And we know, Len, because we see it every day, how hard Jake Fox and all the Cubs infielders work with Alan Trammell every day on different aspects of infield defense. But as good as Alan Trammell is, the reality is there's no better teacher than experience. Just getting out there and getting the game reps, having that stopwatch running in your mind as you're fielding a ground ball, knowing who the opposing runner is, how much time do I have, and that just comes with more and more experience.
So Duke is going to bat. I'm a little surprised. Tying run at the plate.
More than a little surprised.
There's the bunt, and Lee will get the out at first.
The way I look at it, that sends possibly 3 different messages. Number one, Zach Duke, you're pitching a heck of a ball game. I'm going to give you a chance to stay in this game and hope we can come back and score some runs and find a way to get you a win. That's a positive message from John Russell. Well, the other 2 messages are not quite so positive. I don't like anybody I have on the bench to pinch hit in this situation, and I don't like anybody I have in the bullpen to take over for you after we pinch hit.
Runner at second, 2 outs, and it's Andrew McCutchen with a sac fly in the fifth. Their only run to date. Good cutter. 1-1.
Well, I really love how that pitch has developed for Angel Guzman. Initially, when he started to throw it, it looked like a four-seam fastball. It was fairly straight. And gradually, it started to move off to the outside part of the plate a little bit, and then a little bit more. And now he can control it to the point where he can make it a fastball with a little bit of cut movement on it, or he can make it a legitimate slider.
Soto ready for this 2-1 pitch. That's a strike. To make it 2-2. Spider jet still buzzing around the north side and out over the lake. We got quite a show yesterday, early on especially. Braybo's up. Broken bat grounder. Terrio throws, inning over. Time to sing the stretch with John Cusack.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game is actor and Chicago native John Cusack.
All right, Chicago, let's get on a winning streak and get in the playoffs. Anything can happen. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Oh, it's root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs. All right, Harry.
Aaron Miles bats for Guzman as we start the bottom of the 7th. Our good friend John Cusack is with us, and you had a buddy helping you out today.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Reed Simpson's our kid, Jack. So he was out. He was singing with us. He did a good job, right?
Yeah, he did a great job. And a nice hand for you. You've been hanging out this week here at the ballpark. It's good to see.
Yeah, I was 0-2 against the Phillies, so I burned my hat, and and I think that's I think it's helped set the course straight.
Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, John. You know?
I know it. I mean, I knew it was my fault. That was clear.
I thought it was my fault. I took a different route to the ballpark every day of the series against the Phillies. I couldn't find that magical route.
Well, one of us did something right.
Well, the good thing, I guess, about this ballpark is there are about 15 different ways to get here.
That's true.
But hopefully you don't have to use them all up.
Best way's on a bicycle.
Yeah, Bob said he saw you. I think it was last year.
Last year, I think, yeah. After a game, on your bike, getting ready to head home.
Absolutely. That or the other.
So Terrio comes up, 1 out. And nobody on. I got to ask you, we've asked a couple people this week about John Hughes. You were in 16 Candles, one of my favorite all-time movies.
Yeah.
And most, if not all of it, was shot in the Chicago area.
That's true. We shot it in, I think it was, if I remember, it was at Northbrook. And, you know, so he gave me one of my first jobs when I was 16. And I didn't know him that well, but, you know, spent those 3-4 weeks with him. And, you know, back in the 80s, he seemed like a really nice man. And a great writer, great filmmaker.
Yeah, you're right.
So my condolences to him and his family.
That's low. 2 balls, no strikes on Ryan Terrio. John, you're always really busy. It looks like you got some new films coming out. What in particular would you like to mention today?
Well, I have a film coming out in November called 2012, which is about the apocalypse. And it's,
we've got 3 years left.
Yeah, so I thought that you know, the Mayans had a calendar that was more accurate than any calendar, and their calendar stopped at December, I think, 12th, 2012. So there's all these prophecies about that. So I think maybe if the Cubs are in the World Series and they win it that year, you know, you might want to, you know, spend on credit. Like, don't pay your credit card bills.
Right.
Because you might actually, you know, not have to pay.
Well, I guess.
So that's coming out in November. So I did that one. That's pretty big.
That's a comedy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a laugh riot.
You know, I should mention 2 outs in the inning. And just, you know, reading and not being around a lot of movie sets, but even the scariest thrillers are a lot of fun to make for the actors and the actresses. Like, everyone thinks, oh, this must have been really hard to make. And you've been in some of those movies, but I'm sure you've had as many laughs on those movies as the ones that are actually supposed to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's usually the reverse. You know, if
right.
you're making a comedy, everybody's tense and some sort of serious.
Is this funny? Is it funny?
Yeah,
is it funny enough?
Right. Right. And then if you're making something really serious, everybody can't stop laughing all day. It's always the reverse.
The 0-2 pitch to Bradley is low and inside. So what's your? People ask us all the time, you know, what's going to happen here the final 2 months, and I don't want to speak for Bob, but I don't really know, and I guess, you know, it's up to this team at this point. You want to get everybody healthy, but do you have a gut feeling on this 09 team yet?
Well, I've been watching I've been out of town, but, you know, you can get it on cable, and now you can get MLB TV on your computer and stuff. So I've been watching all the games, and it just seems like whenever you write them off, they get hot and go on a streak, and then they go on a streak, and you think, all right, the team's got themselves straight, and then all of a sudden they start. It's just been sort of maddening, but I suppose, you know, what I keep thinking of is, you know, they lost all the times they were supposed to win. So maybe if they could sneak into the playoffs like St. Louis when they won 84 games and won, why not? Why not them?
Just get in. Find a way to get in. All right, John, thanks. World's coming to an end in 3 years. Go check it out.
Have fun now.
3-1 Cubs. Couple changes now for the Cubs. Jeff Baker moves from second to third. Cubs trying to fortify defensively on the infield. So Miles stays in and plays second. And the new pitcher is right-hander Carlos Marmol. I believe will go into Jake Fox's spot. And then Luke can use a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 8th.
A stellar job today by Angel Guzman. Once again, just continues to put zeros on the board. Pitching with a lot of confidence right now.
Man who would get the win would be Tom Gorzolani. It would be his second in 3 starts as a member of the Cubs. It was nice to talk with John Cusack. He was pretty matter of fact about the apocalypse. It's just kind of the way it is. Millage grounds out. If you missed some of the action, go to On Demand from Comcast, and you'll have access to Comcast Sportsnet's Cubs games ready to watch on your schedule. To find out more, call 1-888-4-BEST-TV.
John Cusack, one of our favorite guests up here in the booth. For all his successes, he never has forgotten where he's from. He never has denied for one moment how big a Cubs fan he is. We see him at games all the time, even when he's not singing the 7th inning. See him on his bike around Wrigleyville.
Good dude, very down to earth. 1-1 to Garrett Jones. Marmol's pitch. It missed up and away, 99 on our gun. And no pitch. Time was called as another fly by here. Zoom, swing and a miss, 2-2. An emergency swing, to say the very least, from Garrett Jones.
Ball was very nearly in Giovanni Soto's glove before Jones realized, geez, that's going to be a strike. I better try to do something, and just able to get a piece.
Outside, 3-2 with Domet on deck. Goes without saying, you don't want to put anybody on base in this part of the order. They don't have a ton of home runs in their lineup, and Domet only has 6, but he's missed a lot of time this year with the wrist injury. Jones out into right center, going to be trouble. And the attempt by Fuld, but it hit the ground first. That's a good call by Mike Riley. Nice diving attempt by Sam Fuld, but a well-placed single by Jones.
Playing a little deep for Jones, a guy that does have some home run power, and anytime you have that ball with the, or rather the glove with the palm down, you're probably going to get called for a trap every time.
And I think he did that because he knew he wasn't going to catch it.
You're absolutely right. If he thought he had a chance to get it, he would have rolled it over with the back of the glove toward the ground and tried to slide it underneath that ball. A good hustle on that play by Mike Riley, the crew chief, to get out there and get a real good look at it. By the time that play was over, Mike Riley was deeper in center field than Sam Fuld was.
Mike's been doing it for a long time. And they're still deep in the outfield, particularly Fuld. that's cute. Domit with a pull swing. He hit it the other way.
Well, that was,
Look at Ryan Domit's like, how did I do that?
It was a weird looking swing and result there on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't know how that happened. Nobody steps out of the batter's box for those flybys.
And he struck him out. 2 down. Pierce is 2 for 3. Fans are oohing and eyeing with all the aerial maneuvers.
Yeah, we got incoming. Keep trying.
That's a strike. 0-2.
He was headed right for the ballpark, but a sharp turn to the left takes him back out over the lake.
Fans getting on their feet for an 0-2 pitch. Slider low and outside. Get him to chase a fastball. 2-2. Those are good pitches, though. A lot of guys will expand that strike zone. Down 0-2. Carlos Marmol 2 holds away from Kyle Farnsworth for the all-time career club mark. And a wild one allows Jones to get into scoring position.
Minnesota with a backhanded effort that time. That pitch way over in that left-handed batter's box.
Larry Rothschild on that phone. But he's going to get up. It's going to be Graybo again. 3-2 on the way. A fly ball out into left. Soriano walking in. That's the inning. They strand a man at second base. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Cubs still lead the Pirates by 2. Gail, Derek Lee is going to start the bottom of the 8th. We have something on the warning track, so we'll start a little late. And while we have a moment, let's bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. Derek Lee appeared to be tagged, but was called safe, and that allowed Jeff Baker to knock home Milton Bradley. Lee was tagged out at the plate. But the Cubs were able to get on the board. Tom Gorzolani singling in Giovanni Soto. Cubs leading 3-1. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Zach Duke might complete this game and might not win it. They have 8 inning complete game performances. That is if you're on the road. And one team doesn't bat in the bottom of the 9th. High and deep. Left center field for Lee. Caught by McCutchen. As Derek was bidding for his 24th home run.
Used every bit of the ballpark out there in deep left center field, did McCutchen, to go back and make the catch. Oh, look at this.
And a big hand for Aramis Ramirez. This is his first at bat in a week. Left shoulder soreness, and then dealing with a pretty bad cold. And he hits for Marmol. So test run for probably a start tomorrow for Ramirez. Duke's 1-1 is taken outside. Stellar work by the bullpen. Guzman and Marmol combining for 3 scoreless innings, only 1 hit. The pitch, ground ball foul. Duke bidding for his 4th complete game of the year. But he'd like to make it 9 innings. The way he'll even have a chance would be Pirates get at least 2 in the top of the 9th, but if they do that, he'll be taken out.
Duke right now has 3 complete games. The Pirates as a staff have 3 complete games.
So I think that means he probably has all of them. Full count, 3-2 on the former Buck. He's now a Cub.
Just had to rearrange the letters.
Our buddy Tim Kessler from Logansport. Missy Wellman. And a huge Entenbach fan club. That snaps an 0 for 13 for Ramirez. Good to see him back on the field. Now the BMW ultimate drive of the game. Jeff Baker going deep for his 2nd hit, an RBI in the afternoon. BMW ultimate drive of the game. Might be it for Duke. Jesse Chavez is going to replace the lefty Duke. Pitched well today, but leaves trailing 3-1. Class attention assisted the game. Andrew McCutcheon showing a pretty accurate arm in center field. The Cubs did get the first run on this ground ball base hit by Jeff Baker, but Lee was thrown out on a one-hop toss from center. One strike on Baker this time around against right-hander Jesse Chavez. That's amazing they can fly that close together.
It was nice of you, partner, to allow the pilots to use your fleet of airplanes for the weekend, for the air show.
It's a big weekend. Jeff Baker, even though he's focused on his job, his task at hand, he probably appreciates that more than just about anyone coming from a military family. Kick the pitch, and strike three swinging. So Chavez strikes out Baker. Friday, August 28th is Apple Vacations Day here at Wrigley Field. The first 20,000 fans get a scratch and win card with a chance to win a 3-night all-inclusive vacation courtesy of Apple Vacations and Dream Resorts and Spas. Keep your scratch and win card during the game to be one of 3 second chance winners. Thanks to Apple Vacations and Dreams Resorts and Spas. Everyone deserves a second chance, as you always say. Soriano 3 for his last 28. Chavez with his Pirates leading 53rd appearance. It's 1-1.
Chavez was originally drafted by the Cubs back in 01, 39th round pick. He didn't sign. He ended up being drafted and signing with the Texas Rangers. Was later traded to the Pirates for right-handed pitcher Kip Wells.
Big foul. Looking ahead to the top of the ninth, Cedeno, Vasquez, and Cruz. The scheduled Pirates hitters with Kevin Gregg scheduled to pitch. Cedeno will catch it. Soriano makes a final out of the 8th. Here comes the 9th. Save chance for Kevin Gregg. Cubs leading 3-1. Changes now for the Cubs. Santa Fulton moves over to left. Kosuke Fukudome comes into play center. And the new pitcher, looking for his 23rd save, is right-hander Kevin Gregg. Ball one to Ronnie Cedeno. Two and 0. Tim Stauffer and Joel Pinheiro tonight. Padres and Cardinals. St. Louis leading the Cubs by 4.5. Cubs are 4 out in the wild card, but they're not in second in that race. They're actually in 5th. Hottest team in that race right now, the Florida Marlins. 3-1. Big 3-2 pitch coming up. Another foul. This is looking like that earlier at bat Ronnie had against Tom Gorzolani. It resulted in a strikeout. That's what Kevin Gregg wouldn't mind here.
If you got points on your batting average for foul balls, Ronnie Cedeno would be leading the National League in hitting. He has always been, I guess you'd say, really good at it. You know, just fouling off those tough pitches with 2 strikes. A lot of times it doesn't end up as a base hit.
Called strike 3.
Sure what he was looking for that time. Fouled off every other pitch. It was close to the strike zone. That one appeared to be pretty much right down the middle at the knees. Called strike 3. Good start to the inning for Kevin Gregg.
Ronnie Cedeno in 4 at bats, went 0 for 4 and saw 27 pitches today. 6.5 pitches per plate appearance. Strike to Vasquez. Luis Cruz was on deck, but he will not bat. Elwin Young has replaced him. Switch hitter. 0-2 to Vasquez. Kevin's ready. The pitch. Low and away. Logo looks pretty mean. The Pirate hitters get fired up when they step on that on-deck circle.
Well, you'd be mean too if they threw rosin bags and pine tar rags and fat donuts on your head.
To the count. And it'll stay that way. Kevin's been about a strikeout per inning pitcher this year. 57 strikeouts in 55 innings. U.S. Army parachute team plane. It's deep left field. Fold is back on it and on the track makes the catch. Face first into the wall. What a play by Sam Fold. Well, he's made a couple of those here at Wrigley Field. There was one a couple of years ago against the Pirates in right.
Initially misjudged it, had to take a real severe line right into the ivy there to make that catch. Well, I'll tell you, Len, from our vantage point up here, we can see how close the guy's getting to that wall, and you expect him at some point to start to slow down and get their body under control, but Sam Fold just continued to run at full speed until he had that ball in his glove and then immediately crashed into the wall.
Pinch hitter Delwyn Young with 2 outs, nobody on here in the 9th. Swing and a miss. So those defensive changes looming large as Lou kind of reconfigured things over the last couple of innings with the Cubs leading by 2. 1-1. I believe it was Niger Morgan who was robbed of a hit in right by Sam Fold a couple of years ago. Well, last year Sam Fold split the year between AAA and AA. Really tough year, but back in the big leagues this season. Trying to stay here this time around. 2-2 to Delwyn Young. The kick, the pitch. 3-2. If Young should reach, it would be left-handed hitting Brandon Moss. The 3-2 on the way, hit foul. Another 3-2. Look out. Ball was scorched. And Young was extremely tardy on that swing. Another 3-2. That one's hammered deep to left center. And Kosuke is going to have to play it off the door. Plays it really well. Throw back to second base. And the relay not in time. It's an excellent at bat by Delwyn Young. Good job by Kosuke to get to it quickly. He almost had a shot at Young at second.
The ball got a little assist from the wind there. Carried it all the way out to the door in left center field. Kosuke played the carom perfectly. Unfortunately, his throw back to the diamond must have been a little bit offline because Ryan Theriot had to cut it and relay on to second base, and by then Young was safely into second base on his belly.
So Moss used as a pinch hitter, 22 official at bats in this spot, 4 hits. Represents the tying run. The wind continues to blow from right to left. As you mentioned, Young hit it right where he wants to hit it today. And we talk about this as a spot where you work away from most hitters, stay out of their power zone, but today's one of those days where anything up over the plate, outer half, could end up in the seats. 2-0.
Yeah, all things being equal, you make a guy beat you to the opposite field, but with the conditions the way they are here at Wrigley Field today, you make guys hit the ball to right field if at all possible.
It's right-hander Joel Hanrahan up in their pen. 2-0, strike. Two and two. Greg has assigned the pitch. Took part of the equipment off Giovanni Soto. Part of the shoulder protection there.
Yeah, one of the extenders on the left side there that covers the shoulder. Looks like that ball just got a piece of it and sheared it right off of his chest protector.
Still 2-2 on Moss. The next pitch struck him out. Cubs win. They put the tying run at the plate in the ninth, but Greg preserves a 3-1 win. Tom Gorzolani beats his former team. The Cubs have won 2 straight.